In just 7 days, I'm gonna code the ultimate Minecraft update, coding magic into the game, adding a towering wizard castle, deadly new golems, fantastical blocks, mystical rewards, and a feature I've wanted in Minecraft for like 10 years now. Hidden deep within Minecraft's code, there are hints that Mojang considered a magic update at one point. I'm gonna use the clues they left behind to show you what that update could have been. It's day 1, and for some inspiration, I typed /summon illusioner. Now, I didn't code this magic man. He is a fully fleshed out wizard-like mob made by Mojang that was never implemented for some reason. The illusioner uses visual magic to dazzle his enemies, and then he'll shoot you with an arrow. Overall, I love the direction, and just like Mojang, I want my update to focus on visual magic. Starting with the #1 feature I've always wanted, colored lighting. Boom, I got that working in like 2 seconds. Now, before you start typing, this is proof Mojang developers only work 5 minutes a week. I used a library called Shimmer for this. Mojang would have to rewrite a huge chunk of their lighting engine, which would be way more difficult. But between the vibrant visual graphics upgrade that we're getting and copper lighting that was recently announced, I think we'll actually see colored lighting, true colored lighting, at some point. And I cannot express how much of a difference this would make. You can use light to convey temperature or totally change the mood of a build. For example, here's a giant pile of gold. I added some yellow lights to it, and suddenly your treasure becomes radiant. And look at how much hotter this boiler room appears with red lighting. I put red lights behind the campfires, and it just makes a huge difference. Or you could use white lights if you're building an office to really capture the cold and sterile environment, bereft of joy where you trade the best years of your life for a modest wage. Originally, I had 16 different lanterns, but I decided to combine all of them into one new block, the Borealis Lantern. You can right-click it and it'll cycle through Minecraft's standard 16 color codes. Now you're probably thinking, well, geez, if I want to put down a bunch of red lanterns, then I'll have to right-click this thing a million times. But I coded a feature that remembers the last light color the player selected, so it's very intuitive and easy to use. And I could not believe how quickly this all came together. Looking back at how I struggled on my end update video, there's no way I could have done this just a few months ago. And that gave me the confidence to add something really ambitious. Mojang loves music, even adding a few mobs that dance when they hear a song. I could totally see them adding a light source that responds to music. I mean, come on, this is amazing. It's day 2, and I wish we had more window options in Minecraft. I never liked Minecraft stained glass. Right now, I'm in the village church, and I don't feel very holy. This yellow glass pane, it makes me want to sin. I spent the morning scrolling through Reddit for inspiration, and then I found this post by Shells124. She made the most beautiful stained glass windows I had ever seen, which gave me the idea. What if you made a block that did this automatically? So I made Borealis Glass. Now this is stained glass. It's a lot more opaque and it has a more complicated design. It actually glows slightly, but most importantly, depending on where it exists in the world, it'll change colors, making an automatic smooth gradient. I know when I first started playing Minecraft, it never even occurred to me to make a gradient. I like this block since it is just beginner friendly and stupidly easy to use. It teaches players a more advanced building technique, and no matter how you use it, it'll basically always look good. It's day 3 and I'm sick of coding. So I started thinking about where I wanted to put the wizard castle. I settled on the tundra, Minecraft's most neglected biome. I love the vibes from Skyrim's College of Winterhold, and also Hogwarts during the first 2 Harry Potter movies during the wintertime. Happy Christmas, Harry! Happy Christmas, Ron! Chicken noodle soup for the soul, man. I began building a giant Gothic Cathedral. Unfortunately, I have been putting all of my skill points into Minecraft coding, leaving my building skill tree a bit neglected. After a few hours of building, I started to panic, thinking this might have been a bit too ambitious. Not only that, but I think the Gothic architectural style, while it's very pretty to look at, it's just not going to be fun to play through. It's got a lot of open vertical space, and most of the explorable area is very flat. I tried making a second floor, possibly for a boss if I ever did a part 2 for this video, but it looked kinda gay. And I mean that in the literal sense because there's a bunch of rainbow dongs everywhere. This just wasn't working out, so I decided to cut my losses and restart. This time, I started with a bunch of cubes. The idea is that each room will stack on top of each other, making a giant vertical parkour labyrinth where you'll have to alternate between indoor and outdoor sections. I want this to look like a chaotic patchwork build that just sort of happened. The magic men inside were so busy doing their whiz-biz, they couldn't be bothered to hire actual builders. This was a lot more in my comfort zone. It allowed me to focus more on the gameplay and interior decorating, which I find easier and more fun. I added a bunch of hidden passages and jumps that you can perform to get more loot, and if you're really perceptive, you could even find shortcuts to make your parkour easier. I also added holes in some of the rooms, so depending on how they connect, you could fall down into the room below, or if you were curious and wanted to see what awaited you ahead, you could look up, and it just makes everything feel so interconnected. Hands down, this was my best design gameplay-wise, but I made the mistake of using quartz, which looks really bad with the colored lighting, unfortunately. The colors just get completely blown out. Plus, Mojang is really good about only using the resources found in the biome when they build. Quartz can only be found in the Nether, which is literally the farthest thing possible from the tundra. What was I thinking? It's the end of day 3, and I was eager to see what the final structure looked like. So I stacked all my cubes, popped in a record, and admired the fruits of my labor. And that was the exact moment where Miss Whimsy walked into my office.
Aren't wizard towers supposed to be round? This doesn't meet YouTube standards. You should get your friend Zeppelington to build it for you. He's a way better builder.
It's day 4, and unless I build something epic, my girlfriend will leave me for Zeppelington. I get it. Even though the colored lighting is doing a ton of heavy lifting, it's not enough. Okay, let me turn off the colored lighting. Yeah. Mojang's builds are generally simple and inoffensive. If they existed in real life, they probably wouldn't tank the property value of the entire neighborhood. While I do think the inside of my build is amazing and genuinely really fun to jump through, the outside has all the charm of a nuclear cooling tower covered in Christmas lights. I restarted for the final time, I swear, and I went with a more classic wizard design, focusing more on the rounded towers and tall coned roofs. At first, I only focused on the shape, making the entire thing out of stone. It turns out, this was a pretty good crutch. I have a hard time building in Minecraft, it just doesn't come naturally to me, but this genuinely made a huge difference. This time, I made the wizard castle out of materials that you can find in the overworld, covered it in lanterns, and I used the glass for windows a bit more sparingly. However, I made the entire roof out of Borealis Glass to show off this amazing color gradient. Remember, this roof is only one block. It's the block itself that's making this beautiful gradient. I added a simplistic Gothic rose window on the front of the build, and finally, I think we got a decent wizard castle. I'm pretty happy with how this is looking. So I rewarded myself spending the rest of the day interior decorating. This is literally my favorite thing to do in Minecraft. In one of the towers, I built what is basically Finn and Jake's treasure room from the treehouse in Adventure Time. It's got a treasure chest with a very special item, which we'll get to later because I have not even coded it yet. I also made a potion room full of witches, which I always felt like potions weren't real magic, but I guess they do have a potions class at Hogwarts, so who am I to say? And finally, we have a library room full of chests. I spammed a ton of paintings up here as a nod to one of my favorite mods of all time, the Twilight Forest. There was a castle where you had to fight the Lich, and in the boss room, there were paintings everywhere. It was one of the first mods I ever played, and it just completely blew me away. I wrapped up day 4 by filling the base of the build with some parkour. To be a great wizard, you must have patience. And what better way to test your patience than with some Minecraft parkour? I added some evil fake platforms, a bit of non-linear level design where you have to use the slime block on the lower levels to advance, this wall of spiderwebs that you have to walk through slowly. It's surprisingly really easy to get complacent and not let go of the walk key in time and just run off the cliff. And of course, I put the hardest jumps at the very end to make your hands extra sweaty. If you can overcome this wizard trial, then you are truly worthy of the magical riches that lie ahead. If you like what you see so far and you want to play this mod, it is completely free on my Patreon. And of course, if you want to donate, it really helps the channel. It's day 5, and I know what you're thinking. Why not just pillar up and skip all this nonsense? Well, I'm gonna create a magic item that makes that impossible. I spent the morning modeling a crystal ball, wrote some code, and got it into the game pretty easily. As you can see, it glows slightly and it swirls with magical enchanted particles, and it'll emanate a magical force field that engulfs the entire wizard castle. I love how the force field looks. It just looks so beautiful and magical on the horizon. I mean, you get excited walking up to this thing. When you enter the force field, you immediately get mining fatigue and a new debuff called arthritis, which makes your hands frail and elderly, thus taking away your ability to place blocks. You could try using your elytra to fly to the top. However, when you have arthritis, you are unable to open doors. Now, I debated taking away your ability to ender pearl, but I decided to make an exception. Minecraft is a game about choice, and if you find parkour annoying or you get stuck for hours, well, I wanted to give players a way to skip it. Being prepared is a trait of a good wizard, so in my opinion, even if you need the extra help, you're just as magical as everyone else. When you complete the course, you will come face to face with a crystal ball, thus dispelling the force field, curing your arthritis, and allowing you to build freely. Of course, I love having more clutter to decorate my Minecraft base with, so the player gets to keep the crystal ball as a reward. But creating a giant magical force field is far too powerful in the hands of a player, so when you break it once, the crystal ball can never again make a force field. Instead, in the hands of the player, I wanted the crystal ball to be an enhancement to the enchantment station. You know how when you enchant something, you can only see the first enchantment, but you have a chance to receive multiple enchantments? Imagine if the crystal ball showed every enchantment you would get, like you're peering into the future. Yeah, I couldn't figure that out. Turns out that's pretty hard. So instead, I made the crystal ball double the enchantability of nearby enchantment tables, thus giving the player way better enchantments. Yeah, nope, never mind, couldn't figure that out either. So now you right-click the ball and it reveals the position of nearby enemies. Limitations drive creativity, and more often than not, it pushes me in a direction where the end product is even better. But not this time. Not this time. It's day 6, and I wanted to add a new mob. The wizard castle will have illusioners, witches, and evokers. What do all these mobs have in common? They all use projectiles. It's a bit much. So I started making a new mob called the Enchanted Knight, which is basically a suit of armor brought to life by sentient experience orbs. It's a dumb, lumbering brute, extremely slow, but it has a ton of health and it hits like a truck. The more I thought about it, the more I realized I was basically just making a golem. So I renamed it to the Obsidian Golem, and I decided to take away the giant sword, which pained me greatly because it was epic, but now it feels a lot more Minecrafty. I went to draw a creeper face on the back of my cape, but my crappy overpriced Logitech mouse was double clicking all day, making the process take way longer than it should have. As the kids would say, I had a crash out and I scribbled all over my cape. I accidentally drew the sick pixel art of an alien holding a bell. Abstract expressionism is the lowest art form, even worse than AI slop in my opinion. But this was spontaneous. I let emotion overtake me and created this bold statement about consumerism and the transience of material possessions. We live in a society. I decided to keep the design, added a bit of shading, and my model was complete. I did some basic animations, taking some inspiration from the Iron Golem. I particularly like the attack animation and how it uses the momentum of his limbs to crush his foes. I coded him into the game and gave him a special ability. Every time he hits you, he steals a random enchantment from your armor, storing it as a book in his inventory. I thought it would be cool to make his stomach cavity into a bookshelf that fills with books as he steals your enchantments, but that little detail would be complicated to code, and I still have a bunch of other cool things that I want to add, so just use your imagination, I guess. At any one time, he can only hold up to 10 books, and any additional books will fall on the ground, which means you can capture an Obsidian Golem and create a farm that strips away all the useful enchantments off the random armor you find around the world. After all, confining living things into a tiny box to make your life marginally more convenient is what Minecraft is all about. And finally, since this golem is filled with experience orbs, the killing blow will cause an explosion of experience, launching experience all over the room, and of course, dropping every book in its inventory. It's day 7, and I have an amazing idea for an item. I can't wait to show you guys. Honestly, this is the most fun I have ever had making a Minecraft update. Do you guys want a part 2 for this video? Or would you rather have me code something completely new for my next update? Let me know in the comments. At the very top of the tower, the player will find the Borealis crystals, and just like Borealis Glass, depending on where in the world they exist, they will be a different color. When you just look at one of them, it looks kinda ugly, I'm not gonna lie, but in big clusters, I think they're very pretty. If you break a Borealis cluster, you get magic rock candy, which is edible. It's not the best food source, but I think it's a fun novelty, kinda like cookies. Mojang has a history of putting things into the game that are pretty much useless, such as copper, and then eventually going back and adding more functionality in future updates. I think magic rock candy in a future Minecraft magic update could serve as ammo for magic weapons, kinda like arrows for the bow. But for now, all you can do with the magic rock candy is craft Borealis blocks, and unlike amethyst, the craftable blocks will continuously grow into more clusters, and you can move those clusters with pistons, so they're very easy to farm. The magic rock candy can be used to craft the Borealis windows, and it also lets you brew luck potions. Yet another cool thing Mojang coded that is unused for whatever reason, but when you drink it and you open a chest, you'll find better loot. It's simple, but it's pretty cool. Finally, I knew I wanted to add a custom totem. This is the magic item that I was going on about. The Totem of Undying is the most iconic magic item we have in Minecraft. So what about a totem for our pets? Imagine your beloved Minecraft pet died and you went on a purpose-filled mission braving the bitterly cold tundra just to see your best friend again. When they cross that rainbow bridge, they're with us forever in our hearts. Or in this case, a variable stored in the player. You can right-click the fancy new pet totem I made, the heavens open up, the angels sing, and our best friends come back to Earth. Same color, same name, and you saw how it kind of jumped back a little bit when it respawned? Well, it even has the same momentum from being hit with my sword. This is your pet brought back to Earth, just as they were before they met their untimely demise. And with that, the magic update is complete. It wasn't easy. I made a lot of mistakes, but seeing the shimmering splendor of the Illusioner's wizard castle as the sun sets on the untamed frozen expanse, it made me realize it was all worth it. I put off learning Minecraft modding for years since it looked too hard, but it's actually a lot easier than you'd think, especially if you pick up some coding basics with today's video sponsor, Brilliant. Brilliant helps you become a better thinker and problem solver with thousands of visual interactive lessons in math, science, programming, data analysis, and AI. Their hands-on learning approach is 6 times more effective than watching video lectures. So if you've ever wanted to build coding skills for modding, game dev, or literally to just sharpen your brain, Brilliant makes it easy to start at your level and grow. I see learning as an investment in yourself, and with Brilliant's huge catalog of lessons crafted by award-winning professionals, it's never been easier. To learn everything for free on Brilliant, go to brilliant.org/whimsy, scan the QR code on screen, or click the link in the description. Brilliant's also given our viewers 20% off an annual premium subscription, which gives you unlimited daily access to everything on Brilliant. And of course, a massive thank you to my Patreons. I could not make these videos without your support. I really appreciate it.